It's
Got it.
there we go. 3, 2, and 1. Oh, well, Mayor Shane, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here, WSAU, WSAU.com. Always great to have you here as we get ready for what's going to be a busy couple of weeks for you there at City Hall. I know early voting, absentee voting already underway for the spring election. First off, I guess tell people how they can participate in the process.
Yeah, so I believe in-person absentee balloting starts on March 22nd, but you can request ballots by mail now, and you can do that through myvote.gov, and also you can contact your local clerks.
Yeah, indeed. And I know that you've got everything's all set up, ready to go. Obviously, there's been a bit of confusion about use of ballot drop boxes and things like that. What is your local clerk's office telling people in regards to getting those ballots back to make sure that they are counted in time?
Yeah, so the conversations I've had with our clerk is, they need to come by mail or be hand delivered and dropped off at the clerk's office.
So that's what you're encouraging your voters to do then these days.
Correct.
All right. Well, yeah, we always appreciate a good election. Obviously, again, you are up for election, so we do not talk about anything in that sense in this forum here. But what we can talk about is what is going on down there in the city, and obviously the big conversation that you and I have been talking about. It seems like almost your entire tenure. I don't know. We're close to the 2-year mark, but we're finally getting to the point where there's some real movement with the transportation utility. And I understand this conversation is going to continue into next month.
Yeah, that's correct. The Public Works Committee met twice in the last week, and we're trying to finalize working through the ordinance language. And this last week, at our last council meeting, that language was approved. However, it was not approved by unanimous vote, so it needs to go back for a second reading, which will occur in April on the 14th.
So just exactly what is, I guess, the language around it right now? We've obviously talked a lot about what it is, basically, in layman's terms, creating a savings account that could be used to pay for sidewalks and different portions of street repair. But right now, it seems like you're just kind of finalizing what all that's going to say.
Yeah, so they've determined that the limit would be the utility would raise about $500,000, $500,000. The council decided, and that money would be used to pay for the special assessment portion that previously was billed to individual property owners on a road that was being reconstructed, and so that. And then any balance left over would be put towards resurfacing and mill and overlay programs.
And then how much are we talking then to the typical taxpayer? I know it wasn't, it's a significant amount, of course, always is when you're talking about taxes, but it wasn't something that really jumped out the page at least for me anyway.
Yeah, so it will be part of our regular utility bills that we get monthly. And for a residential customer, it's roughly $20 a year.
Indeed. And so I guess you said the vote was not unanimous. Can you kind of just summarize then what maybe some of the pushback was to this? And is that something that you've got to work out then here over the next couple of weeks?
So there was one alderperson that voted against it. And I believe his concern was that it wasn't large enough, that we weren't really tackling some of the bigger issues or circling the debt that goes into our construction seasons. And I think he felt that maybe the $500,000 should be a greater number. There's also a provision in there that if the councils and the future councils want to raise it above that $500,000, they put an inflationary percentage in there, which changes every year. But to go above and beyond that, it would take a larger majority of the council to vote for it instead of just a simple majority. It would take a 2/3, which would mean 6 of the 8 council people would have to vote in favor of increasing it. And that's their concern, that it doesn't become a runaway utility, and that it keeps it to where it was designed to be.
Hmm. Indeed. So, how are these discussions going to go then over the next few weeks? And when could we see this coming back to City Hall?
So, I think a bulk of the discussions are done. So that it will just be brought back for another vote. But we also have some other ordinances that need to be updated to eliminating the special assessment language, and those type of ordinances have to be updated also before it's instituted.
Gotcha. So, what's the final timeline then for residents next month, or is it going to be a little longer than that?
So next month is the goal, that the final ordinance would be adopted, but I believe they're in the ordinance, it's shooting for July 1 as the start date.
Gotcha. So it's good to see that this is kind of nearing the end of the process, and from what it sounds like, it's been a really good process. As in, this is kind of how it's supposed to go. You've got some ideas that are being input, and those are all being taken into account as you make the proverbial sausage behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, coming up here, obviously, things have been great as far as melting wise, weather wise. I haven't been to Wisconsin Rapids lately here, but I'm guessing your streets are probably exposing all those wonderful potholes that everybody loves or hates. Go ahead and pick one. But so we're kind of starting to get into summer mode there, and right now you've got a really big hiring push for the city for certain jobs in the summer employment sector.
Yeah, that's correct. We're currently recruiting for, our aquatic center jobs and our regular seasonal type summer labor positions and park and rec positions.
So what do those involve, and what kind of people are you looking for to fill them?
Anybody that has an interest. So, for labor jobs within the street department, seasonal jobs, they have to be 18 or older for those because of the equipment. But otherwise, the aquatic center positions, they are open to people under the age of 18. And, they also look for, different type of instructors, like basketball instructors and zoo attendants and those type of jobs. And they just need to be 16 or older for those.
So then, as far as aquatic center, obviously that requires a bit of training as well. You can't just let anybody in on that. So they've certainly got to start thinking about that and taking action on that soon here, correct?
Yeah, the lifeguards need to be certified, but there are positions in whether it be admissions, concessions, or slide attendant type positions that they do not need any type of certification for.
And the city, obviously, if you want to become lifeguard certified, the city does have means of helping you get that, correct?
Yeah, and local YMCA programs are the biggest training grounds for lifeguard certifications, and most of those applicants or people that take those jobs are in those from the YMCA.
Gotcha. So, and again, obviously, everybody's looking for help these days. The city's no different than that. And if you can't fill some of these positions, do you have some, maybe some backup plans or other means of going about it?
It's just aggressively recruiting in the means of that age group.
Aggressively recruiting. All right. All right. We'll hopefully we won't have to be closing the pool early on like Wednesday and Thursday nights because we don't have attendance, right?
Yeah, the benefit of that job is very flexible. There are kids that play summer sports, and they can work around schedules. So it's not like you're committed if you decide to want to work a seasonal job at the city that you've committed your summer to doing that. There is flexibility in that scheduling.
Indeed. Not nearly the flexibility though that there is in the mayor's scheduling.
Exactly.
Yes,
Oh, some days.
Of course. Well, some days, yeah, but we're in the March Madness season where everybody's productivity is going down at work because they're sneaking a peek at games here or there.
Yeah, and then this weekend also high school basketball. So
yeah, there's that too. Let's not forget that. So
exactly.
yeah, indeed. Well, hopefully we'll be able to fill those positions for you. But one more thing we wanted to ask you before we let you go regarding you're going to have we mentioned the elections. You're going to have a special meeting coming up because you will have to do some reshuffling and reorganizing of the city council as well, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So April is obviously the election, and the third Tuesday is our reorganizational meeting. We will still continue to hold our normal committee meetings at the beginning of the month. And historically, the council likes to wrap that up. And so they'll have a special meeting on April 14th to take care of that business. And then when they start on that third Tuesday, there'll be a new council. It's a reorganizational council meeting then that's it.
Yeah, indeed. And you're looking at, or you're going to maybe have some turnover on the council. Is that correct?
Yes,
Guaranteed turnover there. There's the word I was looking for.
so obviously the mayor's office is contested, and we have an aldermanic district 6 that because of redistricting, that person can no longer serve once their term's up. And so there's 2 people also running for that seat. So we will have at least one new one.
And so I guess from your perspective, obviously as somebody who's been on the council, you're in the mayor's seat as well. What are those people who are new on the council? What are they in for when it comes to taking that job and getting that 2-year term going?
Yeah, I think the biggest part when you start out is just trying to understand the processes, how a meeting works and motions and those type of things. Also learning department heads' roles and responsibilities, and then also trying to understand what their role as a council person is. They're generally over budgets and policies, high level type things, and not in day-to-day operationals. And then and then just it's a large amount of reading material, because you're inundated with so much information, and just trying to get used to be able to parse through that and know what the really important things are and what maybe isn't as important.
To me, that sounds a lot like high school, being inundated with information, putting off studying it until the very last minute, and then at the end, just basically going with the Cliff Notes version and saying, okay, what is really important here, and what is just the legalese, or which part of the legalese is important.
Well, exactly. And then also, if they don't understand something, understanding which department had to reach out to get more information and get questions answered, and kind of learning that, navigating that process at City Hall.
Indeed. And that's and I can tell you as well from my position, that is a learning curve, a learning part of this job as well. Absolutely. Because we have to make sense of it all. If it doesn't make sense to us, how are we going to summarize it into a 40-second bit to make sure that the public understands it as well? So that, hey, we're all in the same boat here.
It's learning.
Indeed. Well, Mayor Shane, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to again, we can't exactly say what's going to happen, who's going to be in the mayor's chair coming up here, but nonetheless, we will say all the best to you down there in Wisconsin Rapids.
Thank you, and it was good talking to you.
Absolutely.